Welcome into the Thunder basketball universe. We are recording this episode on Monday. It is June 9th, which means the Thunder is 2 games into the NBA Finals, and this series is now all tied up 1-1. The Thunder lost just a heartbreaking game in Game 1. They were up by as many as 15 points, and the Indiana Pacers, to their credit, rallied back, won that game by 1 point, 111-110, and the Thunder put that 0-0 mentality on full display just last night inside of Paycom Center and walked away with a double-digit victory. Great resilience and great bounce-back mentality.
And it's so cool to see some of these things that we've been talking about for the last 6 years, Paris, on this show, come to the fore at the highest stakes games possible. I mean, this Thunder team, since you've been here, really, since the Mark Daigneault took over, has really been focused on 0-0 mentality, getting back to neutral, being able to control the moment in front of you. And the Indiana Pacers force you to do that better than any other team in the league.
Yeah.
That 48-minute mentality that you have to have. We've seen that already early in this series. And this is the great challenge that the Thunder has been preparing for the last half decade. And so cool to see all of that get tested with a team that's still so young, 24 and a half years old, average age.
That's what's so impressive about this group, because the fact that you were on the biggest possible stage in all of basketball in the world, the NBA Finals, there's so much surrounding this game. I mean, the Thunder had 48 hours between Game 1 and Game 2. So that's 48 hours that you had to just sit, think about that game, go back, watch film of that game. All of the media from all over the world are asking you about that game and how it ended. And so for Oklahoma City to be able to put that game behind them, just take the lessons, take the controllables out of that game and leave everything else behind them, and then come in focused in Game 2 was very impressive for such a young group.
Yeah, and the Thunder, they needed that game for sure, and they got the type of performance that we've seen from this team all season long. The offense was aggressive, but patient in terms of taking what the defense was giving. We saw so many assists, 25 assists in the game. I think it was just 13 in all of Game 1. And so OKC definitely figured out, okay, how do we leverage Indiana's aggressiveness on defense? There's so much talk about how aggressive Indiana is on offense. Its defense plays with the same type of style. And so the Thunder had to figure out a way how to utilize that aggressiveness against Indiana. They were able to leverage it into a ton of really nice ball movement plays.
Nick, I want to ask you about the crowd inside of Paycom Center, because we've heard it be really loud inside of this building, and the one that comes to mind is Game 5 against Denver, where Lou knocks down all of those threes. The place just goes absolutely electric. In the finals, though, this is a different buzz. This is a different energy, and traditionally inside of Paycom Center, if you've ever come to a game, the Thunder makes their first shot, and what happens? Everyone sits down because they'd been standing up from, tip-off. Well, I don't think the Thunder fans have sat down at all in any of these 2 games.
No, definitely not. Maybe it's some timeouts to just take a quick breather, but no, when gameplay's happening, everybody's up, everybody's fired up, everybody's into the game for the entirety of it. And I think what you feel is some true home court support. I don't just mean cheering when the ball goes in the basket, but if you notice those dips a little bit, maybe the other team has put together a 5-0 run, the Pacers rip off 6 quick points. As the Thunder's going back down the floor the other way, there's just this thing that happens in the crowd where there's this swell of cheers. There's nothing on the screen or nobody on the PA that's saying hey, the Thunder needs this possession right now. Yeah. But intuitively, this crowd understands what's going on. They understand time, score, situation, and the personality of the team and when they might need a little bit of a pick-me-up. I think they're recognizing, after seeing this team, the continuity of this group for a few years now, those moments when this team is poised to strike and the moments where they need some help too. Yeah,
there's a really nice connection there. These 2 groups, the fan base and the Thunder, just kind of on one wavelength. And to your point, no one's prompting the crowd to start chanting OKC in the middle of a possession. No one's prompting the crowd to rally and cheer if the Thunder's going through a little bit of a slump or a little bit of a lull offensively. They just instinctively do it. And that's really special when you're in this crowd, knowing that they're not waiting for you to do something great. They're behind you 100%.
100%. And that's such a great place to be in when you're a team that earned the right to have home court advantage throughout the playoffs. Now, OKC has to go back and get it. They've got to go get one game in Indiana here over the next 3-4 games. And so in order to do that, to take advantage of the home court advantage, they've got to go and steal it right back. But this is what you earned the right for, to get that extra game here at home in case something slips.
Such a special home crowd. And I tell you what, I've had titanium stuck in my head for the last 48 hours.
We had titanium in the second quarter last game.
Amazing. So you love to see that inside of Paycom Center. All right, Nick, what do you say we get into our Summer Moon stat of the week? How's that sound?
Sounds lovely.
All right, what you got for us?
48, and it is not the number of minutes in a basketball game.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Number of hours in between game 1 and game 2?
That's another good one. But no, this is the number of bench points for the Thunder.
Love that.
Yeah. Love that. 2 guys, Aaron Wiggins and Alex Caruso, combined for 38 of them, which is more than the entire bench for the Pacers in the game as a whole. Also, Alex Caruso with 20 points, Aaron Wiggins with 18 points. Those guys each individually, 20 for Caruso, 18 for Wiggins, more than any single individual player scored for the Pacers in the entire game. So to get that level of production off your bench, massive in an NBA Finals game where, the conventional wisdom says, you play 7 and you trust 6 or something like that. That's just not how the Thunder has been wired. It's not how they've been developed over the course of the season. And, that's not how Indiana is either. And so for OKC to win that battle was huge.
Can we talk about Aaron Wiggins for a second? Can we give the man his flowers? Because this is a guy who has played in just about every single role you could possibly play on in a basketball team. He's been a starter. He's come off the bench. He's logged DNPs. He hasn't logged minutes at all. He's been the first option, second, third, fourth.
Yeah.
And he's come into games not knowing which role is going to be his role for that night. In game 1, Aaron played 9 minutes. 9 total minutes. He was, a factor
solid
in that game. He was solid, but just 9 minutes. In this game, Aaron played 21 minutes and came out of the gates confident. This wasn't a guy who was just like waiting for his opportunity. This was a guy who was locked in, ready to strike as soon as he saw an opportunity. His first bucket of the game, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like a hard drive. He attacked right side, spun, finished. He took on some contact from my perspective, but finished that possession. I'm like,
over top of a shot blocker. Yeah.
Yes. And that is a sign of a confident guy, which is impressive given the fact that he's had such a fluctuating role. It would be really easy to come out and, be a little timid and maybe just wait for a wide open shot to come to you rather than go get one.
Yeah, and he started the game 3 for 3 from the field, ends up hitting 5 threes, 5 of 8 from behind the arc. Just an excellent performance and a shot in the arm offensively in a matchup where you've got to get offense against this Indiana team. OKC is receiving the benefits. They're getting the fruit of the labor that they've put in over the course of the season in terms of empowering players to be in different positions, to thrusting them in different roles. I think that one of the most critical developments all year was, AJ Mitchell goes down, and the Thunder was planning on, maybe having Mitchell be, this secondary playmaker, ball handler. He had been so good throughout training camp in the early couple months of the season, but then suddenly that option's not available to them.
Yeah.
And Aaron Wiggins gets more and more of those chances in that second unit, kind of that secondary playmaker alongside Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
And getting the ball in his hands more, getting him more comfortable playing as a primary, playmaker in pick and roll, attacking off closeouts on the second side. All of that paying massive dividends here now when the Thunder desperately, needed an extra offensive jolt in that second unit.
Yeah, coming in and just doing what he does. Let's not forget, Aaron Wiggins had a 40-point game this season. He is perfectly capable and has continued to grow and develop his game offensively. He's really solid defensively as well. And so you bring all that together and you have a guy that you're very confident rolling out for 21 minutes in game 2 of the NBA Finals when you need a little bit of a jolt. And that's what Aaron Wiggins is going to give you. And all of the guys in the locker room have so much respect for Aaron. And we've heard from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we've heard from J-Dub, who have said, like, look, we kind of know our roles and we know we're going to get minutes in a game. For a guy like Aaron, or even a guy like Jay Will, sometimes to not really know what their role will be that night, Isaiah Joe can kind of be put in this category as well. And they all show up every single day with the utmost professionalism and consistency, and you know what you're going to get from them every single night, you have to have nothing but the utmost respect for them.
Yeah, and this is something that does not go unnoticed by their teammates. J-Dub just went on and on last night after the game about Aaron Wiggins. That job is one of the hardest jobs in the entire NBA.
Yeah.
And it does not get taken for granted inside the Thunder locker room that guy is primed and ready in the biggest game that he's ever played in his basketball life to be able to go out there and not just play and play hard, but play well.
Yeah.
And doing that without having a ton of rhythm. You have 2 full days off in between games. And the last time you played, you only played 8 minutes.
Yep.
And the last time you played before that was like 8 days ago.
I know.
And so to be able to have any semblance of rhythm, any semblance of like confidence and, just swagger is really impressive. But that's what we've seen from Aaron Wiggins, and Kenrich Williams was another great example as well.
Yeah, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's Aaron Wiggins, that's Kenrich Williams, that's all of these guys. Okay, we'll talk more about the bench in a little bit, but I want to get to my stat here. It is 35.
35. Is that the number of points in the paint that Indiana had in the game?
That is 34.
Oh, 34.
You were so close.
Okay.
This is an Indiana stat. It's their 3-point shooting percentage.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring this up because this is an interesting dynamic for Oklahoma City here in Game 2. In Game 1, the loudest number on the stat sheet for Oklahoma City in terms of their defense was the fact that they forced 25 turnovers.
Yep.
It's kind of their bread and butter. They are known for being the most disruptive team, and it shows up in a lot of different stats, whether that's steals, deflections, blocks, those sort of things. Well, in Game 2, those numbers weren't as loud. The Thunder forced 15 Indiana turnovers, and I think they had a total of 10 steals. They had 4 blocks, so solid defensive numbers. But, the Thunder set a standard throughout the season that this might be a little bit subpar in terms of those numbers. However, the amount of empty possessions that Indiana had in this game was way, way higher than what we saw in Game 1 for Oklahoma City. What they did, rather than, just, taking the ball away from them consistently, which is what they did do that, they forced really tough shots, and they forced Indiana into situations that they didn't want to be in. They forced them outside of their normal stuff. There were several times, Nick, where the Pacers, they were up against the shot clock. They had to really work the possession, and next thing you know, the shot clock's at 5-4, and Indiana still hasn't gotten a shot off. Yep. And that's a big credit to Oklahoma City's defense and just how connected they were and just forcing Indiana outside of what they would rather be doing.
Yeah, I mean, big stat is just Indiana took 15 non-paint 2-point shots. Mm-hmm. Now, the Thunder took 10, but OKC has some of the very best non-paint 2 shooters in the entire world.
Elite,
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and J-Dub.
Yeah.
And, for Indiana, they only go 6 of 15 on those shots. That's 40%.
Yep.
If you slide even, 3 or 4 of those shots into the paint or from behind the 3-point line, which is where Indiana would rather be, who knows how different, the landscape of the game looks. Maybe it's a 10-point game in the fourth quarter instead of a 17-point game in the fourth quarter. And then suddenly, the Pacers feel maybe a little bit differently about what they've got going on. And so for OKC, just making things difficult, forcing tough jump shots, even some of the threes that went in for Indiana. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ben Mathurin had one from behind the backboard in the corner. Some of those you got to just live with. Aaron Nesmith, I mean, the quick trigger on some of those threes was unbelievable. There's no way he's even looking at the rim on some of them, and they go down. And so you're going to have to accept that some of that incredible shot making is going to happen when you are facing a team that's made the NBA Finals. But as much of a contest as you can get, some of the blocked threes that, Cason Wallace had a block. I think Alex Caruso had a block on a 3. The Thunder had 4 in the game, and, 3 of them came from guards. So, it's cool to see this team learn that, yes, being disruptive is really important for them, but being solid has really been the main goal.
Yeah, stacking those just really good defensive possessions where you force a miss. And then on the other end of the floor, this leads into the next thing that I want to talk about for us is the fact that the Thunder won the paint battle significantly in this game. The Thunder had 42 points in the paint. Indiana had 34. And Nick, you brought this up yesterday. Indiana didn't have like a paint point for a while there.
The entire first quarter, they didn't have one. And that did extend a little bit into the second quarter as well. Now, I think what Indiana would look at is, hey, we were able to score 34 points in the paint over
After
the final 3 quarters.
Yeah.
But, so it's definitely something for the Thunder to take a look at, because Indiana did score 66 points after halftime in that game. But nonetheless, a defensive tone was set early.
Yeah.
And I go back to, I know I've said this probably on this podcast before, but there's a handful of games that we've seen this season where the Thunder controlled the paint in the first quarter of the game. The other team, they may have been hot from behind the 3-point line at Boston, at Sacramento, at San Antonio. By the end of the game, those percentages all evened back out. They did exactly what happened in game 2 with Indiana, where the Pacers shot just 35%, to your point, from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And you can live with that if you're not giving up stuff in the paint too.
And you're also, on the other end of the floor, generating quality looks. Yep. And the Thunder continued to do that, even though they did not shoot the ball well from the paint in game 2. They only shot, let me check, 42% in the paint in game 1. Sorry.
Correct.
In game 1. Only shot 42% in the paint and only shot 36% from 3. So like the numbers were really low. 41% from 2-point. And then in game 2, like you're saying, all those numbers kind of even back out for Oklahoma City, where the shot making wasn't there in game 1. Yep. It was there in game 2. They shot 56% from 2s in game 2 and 58% in the paint in game 2. So you generate the quality looks, you trust that those shots are going to go down, and you take away easy looks from Indiana on the other end of the floor that allow you to get out in transition and get those good looks.
Yeah, and just one more point on why what we're seeing from the 3-point line, why what we're seeing in the paint has been happening so far in the series for the Thunder.
Yeah.
It's because they've only allowed 19 total fast break points over the course of the 2 games.
Excellent.
Indiana is just dying to get out into the open floor to rack up fast break points. That is what they want to do. And the Thunder's transition defense has been excellent to this point in the series. If you start to see those fast break point numbers go up, you're going to see the 3-point numbers go up and the rim stuff go up. Yep. And that's exactly how Indiana wants to play. That is a massive challenge for the Thunder when they're playing on the road. Indiana's going to play even faster at home. They're going to play more confidently at home. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how the Thunder's defense is able to get back in transition, play that way in order to stop those runouts. Yeah,
Indiana is stubborn when it comes to wanting to get out and run, wanting to get in transition. And the Thunder, one thing they do so well is take away your fastball. In Indiana, that is their literal 90-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. So for Oklahoma City to do that, it's very impressive. They're going to have to keep doing that going into game 3. You mentioned the defense. One big key to the Thunder's defense, especially off the bench, how about Alex Caruso?
Yeah.
Normally when we talk about Alex Caruso, we're talking about the hustle, the scrap, the blue-collar plays, the steals, the deflections, just the overall impact invisibly. His impact was very visible in game 2. The man finished with 20 points off the bench, 4 made threes. He was 6 of 11 from the field. I mean, he was doing all of the things we know he's capable of offensively, while also marrying that with the invisible, impactful stuff defensively as well.
Paris, we talked about it at shoot-around yesterday morning. We were watching Alex Caruso warm up.
We were.
And we were like, that guy's going to hit 4 threes tonight.
It's looking like it's one of those nights. Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. I mean, you just know as a competitor that guy is going to show up and deliver. He had so many great one-liners after the game when he came and spoke at the podium just about, hey, look, I understand that at this point in my career, my level of competitiveness is geared towards this type of opportunity. And he had a quote that I really want to share because I just thought it was so perfect and really sums up the Thunder's mentality as a whole.
Yeah.
He said about the NBA Finals. He's been here before. He's won an NBA Finals before back in 2020. He said, getting here isn't guaranteed. Nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets an extended welcome. You have to earn it every time. Being here in the NBA Finals is an accomplishment, but winning it is the real pinnacle. And that all, of course, makes sense.
Sure.
If you're here, you want to win it. But I think that there's a level of gratitude and understanding of how difficult it is to get here that it allows Alex to play with a type of desperation that, most players just don't have and can't tap into.
Yeah.
He exudes that into the team. He helps the team, feel that as well. And up and down the roster, you have hungry players who can really tap into that feeling.
The whole group is just so competitive, and that's why he fits in so well with this team and why it feels like he's been here for 3 years. I mean, Yeah, Alex is like his game is very tailored for this time of year where everything is earned, every possession matters, and it is such high stakes. But I feel like every single player on this team plays with that level of desperation. And I think it starts with the culture that they have in that locker room. We talked about it, being where your feet are, that 0-0 mentality, knowing that the Thunder, they won 68 games this season. That means absolutely nothing going into the playoffs because you are literally 0-0 with your opponent when you go into that first game of a series. And so for Oklahoma City, they recognize they did a lot of work to get here. They want to keep building on that, but they have to be in that present moment. And Coach Daigneault has said time and time again that Alex Caruso is a incredibly present competitor. He is literally only operating within the present moment, and it makes him so good out there on the floor. He's locked in all the time. And I thought it was interesting too, I think it was practice yesterday, a couple of the guys were asked, like, who do you think would be the best head coach in the future on this team? All of them said Alex Caruso. All of them did. And I think that makes perfect sense. This guy's always talking. He's a very cerebral player, but he's also super scrappy and out there just, doing all the dirty work to make sure his team is in a right position. Yeah,
and he's, reliable in the areas that as a role player you have to be completely reliable in. I mean, there was some tenuous moments where Lou Dort was in foul trouble last night in the game. And, as soon as that happens, you see Alex Caruso hop up off the bench. Mark's coming to get him and get him in the game. And you could just feel, even actually there was one time where Dort stayed on the floor, but Caruso and him had a conversation, and it certainly looked like to me, Alex was saying, hey, I'm going to take a few possessions on Tyrese Halliburton here. You play off the ball a little bit. You take, a matchup that's, maybe not as demanding in terms of that physical contact on every single screening action. And, let's get through these next few possessions until, Mark feels like he can get, Case and Wallace back into the game or something, something along those lines. It was like the relationship and the connection that he has with the guys to be able to slot in defensively. And then, I mean, frankly, you got to knock down shots. And he knocked down shots at a high clip, 4 of 8 from behind the line. He was also aggressive off the bounce, drew a couple really important fouls at critical stages of that first half to get to the free throw line and knock down those free throws. Yeah,
the fact that Alex knocked down 4 threes in this game, it's really good to see that for him specifically because we know he's capable of that. And throughout this season, we've seen him, go up and down in his shooting, but all the while recognize, and he has the utmost confidence as well, knowing the caliber of shooter that he is. And this is what it is. He is certainly capable of these sort of shooting nights. We talked about the invisible stuff that Alex does. There are a couple of guys who came off the bench for Oklahoma City in game 2 that had invisible impact. And you're going to look at their stats on the box score. And I'm thinking of a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein. Only 3 points in this game, but he had 8 rebounds. He had 4 assists. He had a steal. He had an awesome steal. He dove on the floor for the loose ball. I was like,
sequence.
That was massive. But he came off the bench. And for a lot of people who were just tuning in to watching Oklahoma City here in the playoffs, and you're just now watching and really dialed in during the finals, you'll be like, wait a second, Isaiah Hartenstein's coming off the bench? Case and Wallace is starting? What's going on? That's like a big thing. It's not. It's I can very much assure you it is not. A, Case and Wallace has started 41 games this season. B, Isaiah Hartenstein is the biggest professional there is. We've heard from Coach Daigneault. This isn't the first time that Isaiah has come off the bench for Oklahoma City this season. And previous times, Coach Daigneault's been asked, what was that conversation like with Isaiah when you had to tell him that he was coming off the bench? He said, it's about a 2-second conversation. That guy's an ultimate pro. He said, whatever you need, we're good to go. And also, the only constant for Oklahoma City is fluidity and adaptability. It's just they keep everything fluid for a reason. And the starting lineup is kind of like a little.
It's the first sub.
It's the first sub. It's a little bit of a formality. It's like it's really more about rotations and lineups and the best matchup out there to start the game. And so I think of a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein. You can only have that level of fluidity if you have guys with the mentality like Isaiah Hartenstein, who no ego, team first, and all of these guys are like that.
And to get to this place in the NBA and to get to the finals, every single player on both of these teams has that. And at this point, you're in strategic deployment mode. And guess what? The Thunder recognizes that they've got one of the most veteran, most savvy, most creative coaches in league history across the court from them in this series. Mark Daigneault said after the game, we have to continue to evolve through the series. We have to get better through the series because we know Indiana is not going to just stay stagnant. And so for the Thunder, there's a recognition like, okay, just because this is what the alignment was, this is what the rotation pattern was in game 2, that can't be the expectation that it's just, you can just like put that ace of spades out there on the floor, you know, every single night. And that is just the magic formula that's going to work.
Right.
The game is not static. The game is constantly evolving. Your opponent is constantly evolving, trying new things, putting the ball in different places on the floor, putting different lineup combinations out there.
Exactly.
So the Thunder has to be adaptable and ready for all types of changes and all types of strategic deployment.
That's a hard word to say, but I'm with you.
I know of their players. I'm fired up. I'm worked up
so
because this like I was talking at the very beginning about the things that the Thunder has been focused on for the last 5 years are all coming to a head right here in the NBA Finals. And what a perfect encapsulation. And this strategic adaptability is also coming to the fore here too.
And it has to be second nature. You can't teach the guys this stuff and you're going into the NBA Finals and Mark's writing on the board adaptability. Like
this is what we need this series now, guys. Yeah.
Like I need you to be locked in with me here. Like no, the Thunder has just built up this muscle year over year over year so that when you walk into the NBA Finals and Mark Daigneault writes that starting 5 up on the board, everyone's just like, got it. Let's roll. Let's rock. We're doing that.
You can't have an Aaron Wiggins game like you had in game 2 if all season long he has had the exact same role, he's coming at the exact same time. I mean, the guy didn't check in until the beginning of the second quarter in game 2, like he has here, recently. And, that's just not possible if everything is so rigid that, nothing can ever possibly change. Yeah,
exactly. And I think another great example of this, real quick, I want to talk about Kenrich Williams as well, because he played 8 minutes in this game. I can't believe he didn't score.
Well, to be fair, his dunk attempt was goaltended. Right. Thomas Bryant's hand was through the net.
Right through the middle of the rim, and nobody saw it in real time. But then the replay caught it, and we were like, wait a second. So, Kenrich, you got a ceremonious 2 points there because...
We'll call it 125-107.
I like that. But he had great defensive energy. His pressure on the ball whenever he was, in those one-on-one situations, incredible. I remember specifically a possession that I was typing so furiously on that possession. He had Ben Shepherd cornered on the sideline and Ben Shepherd just lost it out of bounds. And I remember Kenrich got fired up. I think it fired everybody else up. The defensive pressure is just so necessary in those moments. And so he didn't score in this game, but he had 4 rebounds. He had 2 assists. He had a block in 8 minutes. That is a plus impact for Kenrich Williams.
Yeah. And, again, this is why these guys are a team and they rely upon each other. The continuity that exists here allows for immense trust. It allows for immense confidence that a guy like Kenrich knows that he can go into the game and he knows exactly who he's playing with. He knows exactly how to play off of them. He knows exactly how to fit into the Thunder's defensive system. And, what we saw at the beginning of the Western Conference Finals is, again, what we saw here in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. So, good stuff from Kenrich.
Awesome stuff from Kenny Hustle, who joined us on Thunder Playoff postgame after the game. It was great. Such great stuff by him. Okay, we talked a lot about the bench. Let's talk about a starter.
Yep.
Let's talk about the most valuable player of the NBA this season, who has been playing...
Pretty good player.
Pretty good guy.
Yeah.
He has been playing at an MVP level the entirety of this series. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, what I would refer to this as elite efficiency that he played with offensively. 34 points on 21 shots. He was 11 of 21 from the field, and he had 8 assists in this game. We talked about the Thunder's ball movement. He was an awesome catalyst to get that going.
Yeah, in addition to the assists, he had so many plays where he initiated the inside-out swing movement. I remember one possession that came off of a Thunder stop. Ball ends up with Shai on the left-hand side of the floor. He comes and backs. He actually kicks it to Caruso in the corner. Caruso gives it back to him.
Yep.
Caruso empties out to the right corner, and Shai just gets into the post. And Shai has been excellent as a post scorer and post playmaker all season long. When the Thunder gets man defense and he's able to get to the block, it opens up so much for OKC because teams end up having to send doubles.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. Man came over, second defender. Shai just gets it out right away. Zoom, right around the horn, all the way back to Caruso in the right corner for an open catch and shoot 3.
Yeah.
That's the type of offense I mentioned earlier the 25 assists for OKC compared to 13 in game 1. That's the type of offense that was maybe not quite there for the Thunder to be able to sustain them through the 48 minutes of game 1, but it was there in game 2, and it's got to be there on the road in game 3.
Yeah, and he was such a great player. We saw this in game 1 as well. He had a great offensive night, very efficient. The assist numbers weren't the same that they were in this game, and you saw he's really there was the evolution for Shai in this series as well, really helping to unlock a lot of offense for Oklahoma City while still maintaining his own offensive efficiency, which is so high level. And then you flip to the other side of the floor because you cannot ignore this for Shai. 4 steals. This is a public service announcement to any team in the NBA. If Shai is guarding the post, just don't try to throw the ball to that post player.
Hey, Paris, be cool, okay?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead and throw it.
Actually, you should throw it. You should totally do it. Yeah. I don't understand how it's not top line of the scouting report when you're going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's like there were several possessions where, Shai somehow ended up on Siakam or somehow ended up on Turner, and the ball gets lofted into them, and Turner and Siakam never touch the ball.
Yep.
It doesn't happen.
It can't get to him.
It can't get to him. And he's so... We talk about how... Royce talked about this on the post-game show. We talk about how kind of slinky Shai is offensively and how he's really crafty and smooth and slithery. He's kind of got that same sort of vibe defensively as well. He's not going to stay put in one. He's very, mobile, agile, and able to, be really crafty and sneaky to get those plays.
He fights.
Yeah.
He gets the initial positioning, which is massive because he doesn't allow the seal to happen too deep.
Yep.
And then just at the right time, he slips back in front and forces that pass to come in, ostensibly over the top, but it doesn't ever actually get there. And so the timing on that, the fight on that, the instinct on that, Shai was smaller growing up.
That's a good point.
And in order to be able to hang, he had to be able to front the post. He had to be able to, be physical and scrappy. And that is all played out now when he's 6'6" and has a 6'11" or whatever wingspan.
And I can relate to this a little bit. It was one of my favorite things is when I got a matchup with a post because it felt like they felt like they had a mouse in the house.
Right.
The point guard's guarding me. Yeah.
Shout out
Michael Cage.
Yeah.
They felt like, easy bucket.
Yeah.
Easy 2. And then next thing you know, they're like, oh my gosh, she's all over the place. You just can't let him get an easy look. And you see that with Shai, where he's constantly moving, but he's also kind of lying in wait a little bit, waiting for that post pass to get lobbed in there. And then at the last second, he's like moving his position and swatting it away. So really crafty stuff by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to help the Thunder get out in the run.
Yeah, and so to be able to combine that defensive impact with the 34, 5, and 8, and just the command over the game. Shai played 36 minutes, which is great to play only 36 in an NBA Finals game.
Incredible.
That you win. But every minute was impactful and efficient. 11 for 21 from the field. And it seemed like the Thunder knew where it was going with the ball, knew how to play on 2 feet, as Chet Holmgren would say, in terms of being on balance with everything that it did. And the result was 49% from the field, 39% from the 3-point line. And, you get 33 free throw attempts, which means that OKC was downhill into the teeth of the defense and putting the Pacers at disadvantages.
That's how they want to play. Yeah. That's what the Thunder wants to do offensively. And they're going to need to carry that over moving forward. Let's get into what's brewing for Oklahoma City. The Thunder, they have a flight this afternoon heading out to Indianapolis. But the game is not until Wednesday. So it's just a little bit of downtime in Indy. You got practice time on Tuesday, game on Wednesday. That's going to be at 7:30 p.m. And then just one day off in between game 3 and game 4. Game 4 going to be on Friday at 7:30 as well.
Yeah. So, this is some amazing territory for the Thunder to be entering into. This is, another great example of some of the pressure, some of the adversity that's going to be coming your way.
Good point.
We've seen all season long the way that the Thunder has handled adversity, the way that they've gone into road environments that are tough, like Indiana, like Boston, like New York, and they've been able to come away victorious. They've got to go there, and they've got to focus on what's right in front of them right now, which is game 3, and another challenge out in front of them, which is to play better in a game 3 than they have so far in this playoffs. The Thunder has always used these micro opportunities for growth as actual, kind of carrots that are out there in front of them of like, can we get better in this aspect of our evolution as a team.
And we've heard from many Thunder players, which I find so impressive, is J-Dub said this word for word. Challenges are fun.
Yeah.
Like these tests, this sort of adversity is really fun because it tests you. We are all competitors. And so we use these opportunities to get better. And so when you think of the Thunder and, you know, the challenges that they've gone through in game threes up to this point and the opportunity that they have in front of them, these guys are amped up about the chance to improve in this sort of situation. And they have a pretty good blueprint of how to take down this Indiana team, how to approach this game, given how they played in game 2 as well.
Right. And yes, there's some identity things that the Thunder did at a high level in game 2. But again, I think there's a recognition that game 3 is a completely different beast.
Yeah.
None of us know what factors may play out. You know, the Thunder has led all but maybe 3 minutes of the series to this point. That might not be the case in Indiana in game 3. The lineups and the alignments that Rick Carlisle and the Pacers put out there, they might look significantly different. The shot making from different, I mean, all of this formula might not look anything like game 2.
Yeah.
But the core fundamentals and the identity of the team has to remain intact. That's what the Thunder's been focused on, not just this series, not just this playoffs, but for the last 5 years.
Exactly. And it is showing up big time when it matters the absolute most. So impressive by this young Thunder team. So be sure to tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 as the Thunder take on the Indiana Pacers in game 3. Nick and I will be there. So be sure to go to OKCThunder.com and at OKC Thunder for all of our coverage as well. We got you. We're locked in. We'll bring you everything you need to know. But that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much to our producer, Matt Bishop. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.